The foster care system is supposed to protect kids from danger, not hand them over to it. But a bombshell report out of the Democrat-run state of Maryland exposes a nightmare of neglect. State investigators found children placed in homes tied to sex offenders, and one support provider was a convicted killer. In one heartbreaking case, a foster child took her own life while under state supervision. Our crime correspondent Jason Mattera has the shocking report.
The whole thing is just egregious, criminal, and heartbreaking.
A scathing audit has rocked Maryland's foster care system, uncovering systemic failures that put vulnerable kids at risk.
Can't imagine having foster care kids put in homes with sex offenders. I just can't imagine. And one person who was caring for foster care kids had been convicted of murder.
State investigators found that 10 children were placed in homes tied to registered sex offenders, and one group home employee was hired who had a prior conviction for sexually assaulting a minor. He was subsequently charged with crimes against children under his care. So Maryland's Department of Human Services claims that they don't have the legal authority to perform ongoing background checks once guardianship is established. Do you buy that?
I'm skeptical of that as best. You or I can go right now online to the Maryland Judiciary Case Search or the Sex Offender Registry and identify for ourselves. Why can't somebody at DHS do the exact same thing?
Auditors also found 280 foster children housed in hotels, some for nearly 2 years, under sloppy oversight. Among them was 16-year-old Kanaya Ward, who authorities say overdosed on Benadryl in September while in a hotel under Maryland's care.
There was lots of evidence to support that she was suicidal or had suicidal tendencies, and to leave her in a limited supervision situation in a hotel room with an unlicensed organization is absolute neglect at the very best.
Tori Hope Peterson, a foster parent who once grew up in the system herself, says Maryland's foster kids are being re-traumatized by unsafe placements and zero accountability.
No child, no youth, and not even adults were or are supposed to live that way. The purpose of the foster care system is to keep kids safe and to keep them out of harm's way.
In a written statement to Newsmax, the Maryland Department of Human Services says that over the last year and a half, their team has worked to fix a broken agency and raise the state's standard for child welfare. But Republican lawmakers aren't buying it. They're demanding Governor Westmore step in and fast, warning that children's lives are at risk and accusing the governor of turning a blind eye to a crisis now happening under his watch.
It's so deeply concerning being in a state like Maryland that these things are happening right here, right now. We are absolutely failing these kids on multiple fronts.
Chris, Maryland delegate Mike Griffith is now sponsoring a bill called Kanaya's Law. It's a measure that would require ongoing background checks for every adult in a guardianship home and also ban the long-term placement of foster kids in hotels. Now, the state already spends nearly $360 million a year to administer these programs, so the fact that basic safety checks weren't already standard procedure with that kind of cash is just unacceptable.
Makes you wonder, Jason, kind of where that money goes. And by the way, there's a saying out there that says you can tell a lot about a society by how it treats its children. This reminds me of the Democrats using our government to deliver 320,000 illegal alien children into sex slavery and forced labor during the Biden regime. So I think I know the answer to my next question for you. Have the Democrats who rule Maryland fired anyone or held anybody accountable for what happened to these kids?
Well, we have the same question, Chris. So we asked the Maryland Department of Human Services, and your instincts are correct, right? No one's been fired, not one person. One vendor did get dropped, but that's about it. So apparently in Maryland, failing to make sure a child isn't living under the same roof as a sex offender isn't a fireable offense. So it makes you wonder, what is a fireable offense in Maryland's vast bureaucracy?
Good grief. As I think that Republican lawmaker said, we're failing our kids. Yes, we are, by putting Democrats in charge anywhere in this country. Jason, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.